Whoa. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry this was not centered. Welcome to VestFest 2.0, also known as Vestival 2.0, or in light of the games that I've been playing recently, The Vest of Us. Today is Thursday, June 25th, 2020, and I am here to celebrate that. Ladies and gentlemen, 150 straight streams. Holy shit. Where we have hit the Vest streak, if you can believe it. If you can, I mean, it's insanity that this has happened. I never expected that this would happen. Last month, we hit 100 straight streams of us hitting the tips goal and me putting on a vest in celebration, and it blew me away. I was so, blown away by your positivity, your support, that I said I wanted to do a special event, and that's why we did the Vest streak last time around. And it was a fun event, and you guys said, will you do it again? We loved it. Will you do it again? And I said, yeah, okay, well, what do you guys want to do? And they're like, well, you should do it at milestones, okay? So after the last streak, I said, well, I don't want to do it every couple of weeks. If I did that, it would be far too often. It wouldn't feel special. Plus, that would take away from, doing game playthroughs and the like. I'd constantly be doing Vest celebrations and stuff. So let's maybe do it every 50. Now, I didn't think we were going to hit it. I even said after the last Vest streak, I thought for sure, that it was all going to end. That was it. Like, we hit 100. That was the milestone everyone was pushing for. We hit the milestone, and that was going to be the end of it. Now, to my shocking surprise, that was not the case. To my shocking surprise, stream after stream after stream, people came out to support, and we kept hitting the tips goal. Now, admittedly, it's become a lot harder. This last month, there were probably, out of the 50 streams, probably like 10 to 15 of them where we were down to like the last 20 minutes of the stream and hadn't hit the tips goal. We had one the other day. It was the conclusion of Sleeping Dogs. We were like $80+ away from hitting the tips goal. But whenever I thought, geez, this is it, and it's okay if it ends because it's been such a wild ride and you guys have been so supportive, people would come out at the last minute and support, and we hit the tips goal. So it was pretty insane. The amount of support I've been getting, and obviously, it shocks me that this is still continuing right now, okay? So thank you to those of you who have been hanging out on the streams in the last 3 months, who've been incredibly supportive, who allowed this streak to continue. We got a fun festival in store for everyone today here on stream. We got a lot to do. In fact, this first segment's going to be kind of unique because I got a few specific topics that I want to talk with you guys about. Because, during interactive streams where I'm doing gameplay, I'll answer your questions or whatever, but I usually don't get to talk in depth about specific things. It's not like I'm doing a constant podcast or whatever, where I have topics that I hone in on that I want to talk about. And I have a few of those today that I like to do. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to do some Q&A. We got a live DSP Tries It taste test coming up, a head-to-head taste test for the Impossible Whopper versus the regular Whopper at Burger King, which I'm excited for because I love the Whopper at Burger King. I've never done a head-to-head taste test like this before. It's the first time ever I'm doing this kind of content. Jasper's going to make an appearance later on. It's going to be a good day. All right, it's going to be a good, fun stream. And yes, we do have a goal, a tips goal for this stream like every other stream. And if we don't hit it, we don't hit it. If this is the end of the Vest streak, that's fine. Now, one thing I want to say up front, I apologize because I had hoped to have a new vest for you guys today. I really wanted to have a new vest for this stream. I don't have one. Here's why. Last Vestival, I ordered one online that looked one way, and when it showed up, just as I suspected, didn't look at all like what it looked like online when I bought it. It looked like it was brighter and a different design. I ordered it's a different vest, basically, that showed up. This happens all the time when you buy stuff online that's clothing, and what you get is not what you think you're going to get based on what you're shown, okay? People didn't like the vest that I ordered. Thank God, the day of the festival, a month ago, the Platinum Vest showed up, and that was very silly and over the top, and you guys really liked the Platinum Vest reveal and everything, and I've been wearing the Platinum Vest, the Blue Vest, and this original beige vest, alternated over the course of the last month whenever we hit a tips goal, okay, which has been pretty cool to be able to alternate and have variety on the streams. I wanted to have a new vest for this event, and yesterday I went out. It was the first time I was able to do this because finally, after 3.5 months of lockdown, the state of Washington has eased restrictions on what we can do, and as long as we wear face masks, we can actually go to stores again. So I actually went to 3 different stores that all sell clothing. one of which is a store that resells stuff that people either donate or sell, or they get stuff from like other stores that are unsold and they put it into their own store. There's another store that kind of does that, is like, again, unsold stuff from other department stores and stuff that's name brand stuff. And I went to all these stores, 2 days ago, because it was Tuesday. Waited in line because some of them, they have limited capacity how many people can be inside the store because of these coronavirus restrictions. And sadly didn't find anything. The one store had a few. They had one vest that was blue, just like the one I already have. Wasn't going to get that. One place had one that was black. Now, the major complaint I've gotten over the last month is that the blue vest is too hard to see on stream. I frequently wear dark colored t-shirts. Wearing the blue vest over the black, you can't see it. And because you can't see it, people complain it looks like there's no vest at all. They don't like that. So really the blue vest is more catered towards a rare time when I'm wearing a white shirt or a beige shirt or maybe a red shirt, a lighter colored shirt versus black. I didn't want to get a black vest that I could only wear 10% of the time. So it didn't seem to make sense to get a black vest. The one vest that was really nice, that I was very disappointed about, it was half like brown and half green, almost like an olive color. And I thought that was unique. It looked very different from all the other vests that I have. It even looked nice. But unlike these other vests that basically have nothing on the inside, this vest legit had like fur or faux fur inside of it. It was hot. I put it on. I was like, oh my God. I had it on for like 20 seconds and my body temperature was going up. I was like, there's no way that I could actually wear that vest on a stream, because if I did, I'd be too hot. Right now it's the summertime here in Washington State. As you can hear, I got the air conditioner pumping at maximum, and there's no way that I could be wearing a vest that's going to heat up my body temperature like that, okay? So unfortunately, I'm sad because I really wanted to have a new vest for you guys for this event. I don't. I apologize up front. There's no big vest reveal or anything happening on this event. But, I will tell you this. I have a plan in place. If we do hit a 200 vest streak, all right, which I'm not expecting, I'm not asking, I'm just saying if we do, because you guys have already blown me away. 3 months of positivity that I never expected. If we hit a 200 vest streak, yes, that will be the next Vestival celebration. And I will absolutely have a new vest in store for you guys. I know exactly what I want to do for this one. I have a plan for it. I'm ready for it this time. Okay? So, when we hit a 200 vest streak, I promise you there will be a new vest revealed on that event. Okay? Fair enough? Okay? Alright. And I'm sorry that I don't have it for you this time around. I really am. Alright, so, a couple things. The first thing that I want to do on today's Vestival, I want to read a message to you guys, okay? This is a message from someone. They sent it to me many months ago. And I was really looking for the right time to read this message, to show my gratitude. And I feel like now is the time that I want to read it because, the 100 vest streak, it was kind of like a big thing, a viral thing. And I was surprised that we hit it, but we hit it. I was super excited. But now it's 150. And now it's like, this is crazy. Like, this is people who love my content so much. They love the positivity around the content so much during this vest streak. They don't want it to stop. It's kind of like a way to show that I'm the ultimate underdog and I'm still here after 11, 12 years, despite all the crap that's happened to me, that we can still have fun, interactive streams. You guys are standing up for the content that I put out, that you like it. You like me as a person, obviously. And you're contributing to make that positivity wave continue. Okay? Sticking it to the people who out there on a daily basis still talk shit and slander me and saying, Phil's successful, too bad, right? Thank you for that, especially now. I said this on the pre-stream, but I'll say it again now because some people will not watch the pre-stream, and I know that. Right now is a very critical time for me. Next month, in the month of July, I have to work with my lawyer. First of all, pay my lawyer a lot of money to retain him. But my lawyer is going to work with the federal government to work out a payment plan for back taxes for me, okay? This has already been established, but as you know, I filed for bankruptcy at the very end of 2019/early 2020. And because of that, that negated any payment plan I had with the government, and it's been on hiatus, all right? Now, it's going to end up being resumed. I'm hoping it's going to be something reasonable. I'm hoping something I can afford, and they're not going to demand that I somehow come up with magic money out of nowhere to pay them to get caught up, because I can't. I'm hoping that it's going to be something fair, and it's going to put me on something that I can afford. Once that's established, okay, I can now see how much money I make on a monthly basis. I can compare that with what I have to pay the federal government for taxes on a monthly basis. And I can actually do a budget. For the first time in years, I can figure out a budget. And once I have a budget, now I can say, oh, can I actually afford those new consoles coming out later this year? Can I afford to improve stuff in my office, like maybe eventually getting rid of this love seat and getting a different chair or something like that, something different? Can I plan on doing something with my family, like actually go on a nice trip with my wife, which we never got to do when we got married last year? These are all things that are possibilities for my future that I can finally start doing once I get past this hurdle in July. And admittedly, you guys have been helping me so much the past few months. I'm in a much better position now, at least going into July. I don't know what the results of July are going to be. I have no idea. But going into this situation, I'm in a much better position, you know, because you guys have been so supportive of me the past few months. And I'm saying thank you so much again, wholeheartedly. I mean it. Thank you so much for the ongoing positivity and support. It's amazing. Even if it all ends today, all right? If it all ends today, that's fine. I'm perfectly happy with what's happened over the last several months. At the same time, if it continues, that's amazing. And you guys have blown me away day by day with the fact that this thing continues, okay? So, all that being said, I have a special message that I would like to read from a fan a few months ago that I never really revealed, okay? But first, a couple shout-outs. Timbo Slice here wanted the Platinum Vest. We're not doing the... Okay, here's what we're going to do. Right now, we're in the original vest. If we do hit the tips goal for this stream, I will give you guys two options. Either I could put on a different vest, like you want us to put on the Platinum Vest, we'll do that, or I could put on the Gunner Glasses, since technically we've already hit the Tier 1 reward during this event. I could do either, or depending on what you guys want, okay? If we double the tips goal, then I could do both. But again, I'm not really expecting that much. I'm not. I think this is going to be a slow stream, and I think this may actually be this may be the very stream where we see the vest goal end. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Okay, Timbo cheered again. He says oh, I already did this. Talk about sleeping dog. Romy Rowe resubscribed to the channel for 26 months. Thank you, Romy Rowe, for the support and the resub. Okay. All right. So what I'd like to do right now is read you this nice message that I got a few months ago. Okay, this is a message that blew me away when I got it. It actually made me tear up a bit. Every once in a while, someone sends me a nice message like this, and it blows me away. And I saved it purposely because I felt this is like a really nice time to show. Not, you know, like I said, the 100 vest streak, there was viral popularity behind it. Now, admittedly, I don't think that the vest streak thing is as popular, yet it persists. Meaning there are people out there who like what I do so much they legitimately want to see this continue, and now I feel like this is the right time to read this, okay? So, I'm not going to tell you guys the name of the person, or anything like that. I'm just going to read you their message, okay? They said, the first playthrough that I ever watched of yours was your co-op playthrough of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time Reshelled, way back when in 2009. Back then, I was just 11 years old, and now I'm actually 22. I've been a fan ever since. While I don't have as much time to watch your videos on YouTube or catch your streams on Twitch anymore, I do my best to still support and pop in whenever I can. The reason that I'm sending you this email is very simple. I hope this is an okay way of reaching you. Of course it was. Is to say thank you. The last decade, you've provided me with so many laughs, and those laughs have gotten me through some of the toughest times of my young life. I was an avid user of your original King of Hate forums way back in 2010, and actually I met my now lifelong best friend in the forum chat, who I still talk to on a nearly daily basis to this very day. Without you, that connection would never have been made. I would never have met her, so absolutely I must thank you for that as well, and I know she would be thankful as well. You've also been a huge motivational inspiration over the past decade. With all of the unwarranted garbage and harassment that you've been subjected to on a daily basis, you've never given up. A full decade later, through all the turmoil, you're still here doing what you love, and that's incredibly commendable. You taught me that no matter what, you can't ever give up. You can't give in, and you certainly can't let anyone or any group of trolls force you to quit something. Thank you for this lesson. And I'm also happy for you that you've been able to find love with Kat, and I'm glad that you two are able to wed and you're doing well, and I wish you both the absolute best moving forward. I apologize not having much more to offer you than a few kind words, and I feel compelled to reach out to you and to say thank you. Whether you realize it or not, you've made huge waves in the world, and many of them are positive ones. The internet loves to focus on negativity, but you've actually done great things. You've pioneered trends that now dominate YouTube. And that's something you should forever wear as a badge of honor, whether the majority of people choose to recognize that or not. We've all made mistakes, and none of us are perfect. But if no one else has ever told you this, despite all, you're a good man, Phil. I appreciate you in every second of your life you shared with us via YouTube, Twitch, etc. over the past decade. Rest assured, there are people in the world who know of your name and recognize that you're not a villain, as so many people attempt to make you out to be. I'll always be a fan. I'll always respect you and what you've done, and what you'll know that you'll always be a legend in the world of entertainment to me. Keep going as long as you can. Above all else, be sure that at the end of the day that you're happy. Love and appreciate you, man. Take care. And the reason that I read that to you guys is because I just want you guys to understand that that means the world to me when I get a message like that. Like, it's been tough. You know, my life has been tough over the last decade. It has. And when I read a message like that, I'm sorry that I'm tearing up like a baby. But when I read a message like that, it makes me feel like it was worth it. You know, like all the shit that happened to me and all the stress and the mental shit that I go through on a daily basis sometimes, that it's worth it because there's people out there who got something out of all of this. You know, it wasn't just some dickhead in front of a camera, you know, doing stupid videos. That it actually meant something to people. And that means the world to me, that there's people out there that, you know, for a decade, that they've been watching me and they've been following me and they've been watching my life evolve and how I've become a better person, you know. You know, admittedly, when I started, I did so many stupid things that, you know, I didn't realize were stupid. And now I've grown and matured, especially the last 3 to 4 years. I've changed as a person and a content creator. And I realize now, you know, we have things going on in the world right now with Black Lives Matter and stuff. And you look back at the stuff that I've done, I'm like, man, I was an idiot with the stuff that I said and did. Not caring about, you know, if anyone was offended or hurt by the stuff that I did. Because there was thousands of people watching me, you know. And I actually now, when I get an email like that, all right, it makes me feel like people grew with me. That this whole thing, I've told you guys that this whole thing was a crazy life experiment. That I felt I never knew that anything that I ever did would have that impact. When I started, it wasn't about that. It was just me having fun, dicking around. I saw Angry Video Game Nerd making videos. I was like, if this guy can do it with no budget but talent, then I can do it too. You know what I mean? And now I feel that over 10 years later, even if there's so many shitheads who hate me, there's at least a body of work on the internet that you guys can watch whenever you want, and you can see my evolution as a person over the last decade. And that means the world to me to get a message like that. And listen, I'm certainly not trying to downplay people who have been incredibly supportive to me on the streams and everything, but that kind of message right there, that makes it all worthwhile. It does. Like that, it touches me, and it makes me know that, you know, there are people who get it. That there are people who get it. They understand who I am and what I'm about and why I've done this as long as I have and why I'm still doing it, and I'm not going to give up doing it, you know. That's cool. That is so meaningful to me to know that there's people out there that it resonates. They get it. They understand that I purposely cannot give up on this, that I want to do it as long as I can, that it means something to me, and the fact that it has meaning to you guys and you understand it, you know. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. That message, I saved that purposely for months until I felt it was the right time. And I hope that you guys, you know, I feel that there's people out there that are like that get it, but they don't want to say anything. Like I said earlier, there's people who are just so afraid of being trolled by the shitheads on the internet, but understand that none of this, what they say and does matters at all. None of it means a damn thing. None of it. Because it's all nonsense. It is. It's their own nonsense, their own negative spin to get attention, to create the drama, to do the stupid shit, for their own personal benefit, because they're selfish and they're weak. You know, not a single person of those people who constantly try to bring me down could have ever gone through what I've gone through in the last decade and kept doing it. They couldn't. They would have quit. They would have tapped out and ran away like the little sissies that they are, because they hide behind the anonymity of the internet. That's why they do it. So I really feel, I've told you guys, the whole King of Hate moniker, the reason it came to be is because I felt that when people hated on me, okay, when people hated on me, that was a motivation for me to do better and to persevere. And this message right here is saying, yeah, that's exactly what they got out of it. that no matter what people threw against me, that I don't give up, and it's helped them in the last 10 years to get through shit in their life. That means something. So thank you guys who stuck with me. Thank you, you know what I mean, and supported me so much. I appreciate it so much. It does mean a lot to me, okay? All right. Thank you, Mature Adult, for the 100-bit cheer. Ryan did a 347-bit cheer and said, we're here for you, man. We appreciate you do what you do, and you never gave up. Plum Goral tipped me $20. It says, there's plenty of us like that kind of person. We're here with you. I've been watching you since 2009. You kind of got me through a lot. I'm happy you're still here. I'm happy to be here, enjoying your content more and more. So thank you for sharing that. All right, thank you, Plum Goral. Let me get you up on the leaderboard here as the top tipper of the day. I appreciate that. Okay. All right. Actually, Patriarchy also is here today. And just tipped me $11. He says, I'm not crying, you're crying. Maybe I'm crying just a little, man. Thank you, Patriarchy, for the $11 tip. That gets up to $40 now. Now I gotta hope that, excuse me, my sinuses don't screw up for the rest of the stream, because it's gonna be a standard length stream. By the way, you probably noticed I'm messing with my hair. Take a look at this. My hair is incredibly long. Probably the longest it's been in a long time, because the hairdresser that Kat and I go to still hasn't reopened. It's actually part of a chain of hairdressers out here in Washington State. None of them have reopened, even though our lockdown for the pandemic has loosened. The entire chain is still closed. And I've gone to their website, and there's no information of when they're reopening. So it's gotten to the point where Kat's like, I don't know if we can wait. So we may end up going somewhere else to get our haircut. Although at this point, everyone all the hairdressers have like bookings for a month, because everyone's trying to get their haircut at once, which sucks, because why are some of them still closed? It doesn't make any sense. So I apologize. My hair looks terrible. It's going to keep sticking out. There's nothing I can do about it, okay? Okay. So the next thing I'd like to talk about, guys, all right? The Last of Us 2 is obviously the biggest game out there right now. It's a game everyone's playing, everyone's talking about. And of course, with a game like that, and with me playing it and doing commentary and criticisms over it, there's going to be misconceptions. There's going to be people who have legit criticism about the way that I handle the game or talk about a game. And what I'd like to talk about a little bit this morning, as an actual, chunk here of the stream, is to let you guys know my feelings this far in. Apparently, I'm a little bit over halfway into the game. And basically clarify some stuff that I want to say about the game. Because I admit that when I play games, I can become caught up in stuff, and I can maybe go a little bit over the top with the way that I say stuff or do stuff during a playthrough. And maybe I come across as basically saying something that I'm not really trying to say, or maybe I say it in the heat of the moment and I go too far. And maybe with The Last of Us 2, this is a situation that's actually happened. Now, in a situation that I'm talking about here, I'm not going to be talking anything about the fact that the main character of The Last of Us 2, Ellie, is apparently, a lesbian or anything like that, or anything like that at all. I could care two shits about that. I don't care that there's a possibility that there may be, a transgender person in the game or anything like that. I don't care about that. And it's funny that that's become this big hotbed of discussion about the game, that it dares to have these characters as part of the main plot line when other games don't usually do that. There's not representation for those groups properly in games. I don't think that The Last of Us 2 is any better or worse of a game because it has that representation. It's good that it's able to have that and not have backlash against it. I'm certainly not criticizing the game because of that whatsoever, okay? My criticism of the game comes in the fact that the plot is nonsensical in the way that the characters are portrayed based on what we know of the characters from the first game. That's what my issue with The Last of Us 2 is. All right. Now, I know a lot of people have issue with oh my God, at the very beginning of the game, there's this twist. I'm not going to spoil the game, by the way. But at the very beginning of the game, there's a twist where, oh my God, there's a plot point that no one expected. And that's horrible because this is something that we were expecting of the game to be more similar to the first game, and it's not. And several times during the game, there's flashback segments that are very similar to the gameplay of the first game. And a lot of people are like, Why couldn't the whole game have just been that instead of what it ended up being? Okay? And fair enough, you're going to get those criticisms. But that's also not what I'm criticizing, okay? At all. Here's what I'm criticizing about The Last of Us Part 2 and why I really feel the game, why I think the plot of the game kind of sucks, okay? The portrayal of the main characters, in particular Ellie, is not well written. It's actually a retcon of everything that we were led to believe and learn about these characters and that character in particular from the first game, and I don't like that, okay? In The Last of Us 1, Ellie was a girl who was growing up during a worldwide apocalyptic crisis. Ellie was not aware of the world before spores or fungus were taking people over and turning them to these mutated creatures, and before society fell. She has only lived and existed in a world that's an apocalypse. And what was actually interesting about the plot of The Last of Us 1 was that you could see the two sides of Ellie. Like, at one side, she's just a normal girl. At the other side, she is different from girls that we know in the real world because she has to live with survival at every waking moment. In fact, if you remember, the first time she takes a life in The Last of Us 1, it's a big thing for her. That she actually had to take a life to save Joel's life because she never did that before. But over the course of the game, she grows up, she matures, and she becomes this very survivalistic person by the end of the game that's very different from the person she was at the beginning of the game. Okay? There's very humanistic things in the game. For example, at one point, she finds a joke book, and she tells these cheesy puns to Joel. And at first, Joel thinks that they're just terrible, but then after a while, it becomes this way to have some human connection in a game that otherwise doesn't have a lot of that human connection because it's always about survival, 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 killing to survive, okay? But for me, okay, the key point about The Last of Us 1 that the sequel retcons, and I feel is terrible, that why they did that, and that's why I really don't like the plot of the sequel, is this following scene. There's actually a scene in The Last of Us 1 where Ellie runs away from Joel and Tommy, and Joel and Tommy have to go out to try to find her, okay? So they go on this chase sequence in order to try to find Ellie. They find her in a house reading a diary, and the diary is from a girl, a teenage girl, from before the apocalypse, before the spores hit the world and society fell. And she's reading the diary, and she looks up at Joel as he walks into the room, and he's panicked because he just found her. And she says, "Is this really what the world was like before all of this? Girls only caring about boys and makeup and teen drama and all this kind of stuff." Because the reason she reacts like this is because she can't believe it. She's grown up in a world where that stuff doesn't exist. There's no luxury, all right? There's no privilege in this world to have a life full of that kind of stuff. Your every moment has to be about surviving, because you turn around a corner, there could be a stalker coming after you trying to bite your head off. There's no resources. Every human is out to kill you to steal what you have, all right? So here's a young teen, I believe in the first game she's around 14 years old, reading the diary of another young teen from before all this apocalyptic stuff, saying, "I can't believe this is what life was like beforehand." Frivolous stuff, drama and kiddie stuff, because she's never been exposed to that. She's never had the good fortune to live in that safe environment of a world, okay? And this was actually one of the best moments in the entire first game for me, because it made you realize how different the world was, and even though Ellie was a girl of that age, that she didn't know what that kind of life was like, and it actually made us self-reflect a bit on our own lives and think, man, you know, when I go to the fast food place and they give me onion rings instead of fries and I completely flip out, maybe that's a little bit kind of a privilege, that I live in such a protected and sheltered life that I'm angry that they gave me the wrong side food when I went to the fast food. Or when I went to Starbucks and they spelled my name wrong on my Starbucks cup, man, and I freaked out about it. Maybe I'm a privileged little snowflake, because in real life there's way more important things to be worrying about, and the fact that we have the privilege and that ability to be angry about stupid, insignificant shit and have our lives inundated with stupid, insignificant shit and be somehow meaningful to us when there's people on this planet that day to day can't even fucking survive, you know, it puts things in perspective. All right, really, I feel that one scene in The Last of Us 1 was like one of the most meaningful scenes in the entirety of the game, and I felt that it was well written because of that. Okay? Now, in The Last of Us 2, okay, there are not one, not two, but multiple scenes where you've got that same character, Ellie, acting like an immature teen who's privileged and who thinks nothing of anything and could just do unsafe things, ridiculous things. And the reason that these scenes are interjected into the game are to create story development and to force themes down your throat that in reality, these are themes that are completely contradictory to what we learned about Ellie as a character in the first game. All right? Spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about 2 critical scenes in the game that I hate and that I think don't belong in the game and actually kind of ruin the story of the game for me. All right? So spoiler alert, if you don't want to be spoiled, skip this segment. Okay? If you haven't played the game or whatever so far. All right? In The Last of Us 2, there's a scene early on in the game where Ellie and her, I guess now you're supposed to understand kind of a romantic interest, Dina, okay? Lesbians, are out surviving. They're investigating these certain areas where they believe that they're infected, and they're trying to clear the areas of the infected. They're on a patrol together or whatever. And as they're out on this patrol, they end up running into way too many infected, way more than they had ever expected. In fact, they even said, what's the most you've ever killed before? Oh, maybe like 5. Oh, I've killed like 20. They run into way more than that in this segment of the game. Okay? To the point where they're desperate for survival. All right? They know that this is way more serious than they expected it was going to be. And they've got to really use all their survival skills to get out of this situation because they're basically out there alone. The 2 of them, there's no one to help. No one knows where they are. It's a bad situation. At one point, they get caught in a blizzard. So now not only are the infected on the hunt coming after you, right, ready to kill you, but now they're lost in a blizzard and don't know where the hell they are. Eventually, they stumble upon a house that belongs to someone who used to be part of their settlement but passed away. Apparently, he was elderly. His name was Eugene. He was an elderly guy who had a stroke. Come to find out, when they find his place, this guy was actually used to be a firefly. So there's some good plot development and everything in there. And if that's where they had left it, I would have said that's a great part of the story, all right? But now we get to the part of the game that's bullshit and completely retcons everything we know. So they're on the run from infected who they know are on their heels and are seeking them out. There could be infected around the corner. There could be infected anywhere. They start searching Eugene's underground stronghold, secret base, whatever you want to call it, and they find a weed growing area. Basically, it's like I don't know what we would want to call it. Well, an underground hydroponic greenhouse or whatever, where basically he was growing all this weed, marijuana. Okay, so they bar the door. Wow, like that's a guarantee. They don't even clear the area. There's no segment where you thoroughly go through this area to make sure that there's no infected or whatever. But they start looking at things in the weed growing area and finding stupid shit like porno tapes and shit. It's stupid as fuck. It's lowbrow humor writing. Then they suddenly decide, well, let's just stay here. Let's not try to find resources to survive. Let's not try to clear the area or hunker down and make sure that everything is safe. Instead, let's smoke weed. This isn't exactly sounding like the Ellie I know from the first game, okay? So, of course, then they smoke weed, and because we're pushing an agenda in this game, in the writing of the game, we've got to have a love scene between the 2 girls, right? I'm not against that, fine, but it doesn't make sense in the writing of the game and the story we know about Ellie. She would never do this. She's a survivalist. Right? She said in the first game, I'm not all about that. She would be completely locking down the building, getting resources, and getting ready to get your ass back out there to survive. She wouldn't be smoking weed and having this stupid fucking scene that's completely irresponsible and stupid. In fact, after that scene happens, okay, another person from their settlement stumbles upon them in an embarrassing reveal. Oh my God, I can't believe I just stumbled upon this happening. And he doesn't even really react in a way I would expect. If he's the person in charge, he'd be like, I can't believe the two of you are being so irresponsible. There are people missing and dying out there right now. In fact, there's a critical scene where Joel and Tommy are missing, and they should have been out there looking for them, but instead they're doing this frivolous shit. So directly upon their own irresponsible actions, bad things could be happening in the world. It's like, you're proving my point, all right? But the guy who even stumbles upon them doesn't even say, I can't believe you're doing this. It's so irresponsible. In fact, it's kind of like, oh, I'm so embarrassed that I stumbled upon it. As if saying that it was all okay, all right? It's not. It's bad writing. It makes no fucking sense in the context of the game and the world that we've been laid out. The world building that's been done in the Last of Us franchise is undone by poor scenes in The Last of Us 2. There's another one, okay? There's another scene that happens. Later on, you're again, it's Ellie and Dina going out, and in this case, they're chasing a group of people. They're desperately chasing a group of people. They're also trying to find someone who's from their group who's also chasing this group of people. Time is of the essence. I can't emphasize, the whole point is they're running out, they're abandoning the settlement they live with because they need to stay on the heels of these people as they escape into Seattle. If they don't move at maximum speed and do everything they need to do right away, they could lose the trail of these people and they'll get away scot-free for something that they did. That they can't let that happen. Ellie is enraged at what's happened in the game and needs to track and find these people, okay? So you're going through Seattle investigating, and they happen upon a bookstore, and in the bookstore, they find a guitar. Now, this is a reference to an earlier scene where Joel, when things were fine, was playing the guitar for Ellie at the settlement when they were safe. Okay, fair enough. That scene makes sense. You're out in Seattle. It's not safe. There's infected everywhere, all right? You need to be completely safe. You need to do things to be a survivalist in this situation. Ellie decides to pick up a guitar and play a fucking song. And it's Take On Me, which is a 1980 song. Whether you like the song or not, I actually like the song. The rendition of the song was good. But it's so uncharacteristic of the character and of anything that we're, again, being told. Ellie's supposed to be someone who grew up in the apocalypse. This stuff is frivolous to her, okay? Why is she picking up a guitar in a building where there could be infected, hearing the song being played, and coming to kill her because she's being a fucking idiot about it? Play the song nicely, just take your time, right? Now, of course, you're going to have people who are going to say, well, this is a humanizing moment. This is a moment where Ellie is trying to be a normal person, a normal teen. Fine. If you want to do that in context of what's considered a safe space, okay. If you're back at the settlement in a safe house, you're in the middle of fucking Seattle where there's monsters around you everywhere ready to kill you. And now's the time to pick up a guitar and start playing a song, okay? This is what irks me about the game. And I'm going to be honest, there's probably more that's going to be in the game like this. There's probably going to be more in the game just like this that's going to piss me off. Because all you're doing is you're retconning everything we learned about the world, everything we learned about the character in the original game for the sake of pushing an agenda. And I don't care about your agenda. You're right? I just don't. I'm sorry. Like, I understand. Do we need representation of certain kinds of characters in games? Sure. And I'm okay with that. But don't ruin the world building you've done and undo the writing you did in the game of the year of 2013 to push an agenda in 2020. That's what I don't like about it. That's what's pissing me off. And the further I get into the game, the worse the writing's getting, to the point where it's laughable. And some people, I think, took it as, well, when you have a scene where someone's picking up a guitar and humanizing, Phil's just an immature jerk who makes fun of that, and he's always going to laugh about it and make fun of it, so you just have to understand that's how he is. To some extent, you're right. Over the years, if you always take these more serious scenes or more meaningful scenes, you know, take a look at Life is Strange, when the girl picks up the guitar and starts playing, or, you know, Metro from last year, where the guy picks up a guitar and I'm always going to make fun of it. That's what I do. I'm trying to be funny. I'm trying to entertain an audience, okay? But at the same time, you have to understand that there is some kind of legitimate criticism behind what I'm saying. And I feel that I had to kind of express myself better, because maybe I wasn't coming across as expressing myself properly in the playthrough, that Neil Druckmann, all right, is literally ruining his own game franchise by pushing agendas down our throats rather than worrying about the overall world building and the thing that he created that made his first game great. I hate to say it, but Neil Druckmann is like George Lucas. George Lucas was a creative genius in the 1980s. He made the original Star Wars films, the Indiana Jones films. Everything he did was gold. Although he had a few missteps there with like Howard the Duck and stuff like that. But George Lucas was a genius and made tons of masterpieces at that point. Then in the 1990s, George Lucas decided, I want to do things differently. I want to redo my original Star Wars trilogy and interject CGI into them, ruining the films. I want to make a trilogy prequel that's so badly written just for the sake of doing over-the-top action with shit. You know what I mean? Like, compare the prequel trilogy with the original trilogy, and you would literally think that it was a different person who made the films. No, it was George Lucas. He made the prequel trilogy. They're terrible movies, but he made them because he's a hack. He basically, he lost his way at some point and became this guy who became more about pushing agendas and using technology and doing things in this weird way that he felt was now the new way of doing it, that he didn't care that he was ruining his own universe. It took a long time to repair that. You know what I mean? And even today now, the Star Wars universe is basically torn apart by when they try to do new things, people can't agree anymore on what's good or not. And in a lot of ways, people liked the original trilogy as a standalone thing that was kind of like untouchable in pop culture until George Lucas decided to continue to ruin it in the 90s with his re-releases and everything. Okay? So I hate to say it, but that's kind of what Neil Druckmann has done here. He took this game that maybe he didn't even intend it, but this game became this gold standard for storytelling and gameplay balance in a game in 2013. The Last of Us is a game that when you play it at face value, it's amazing. All right? It's amazing. And now he's undone all of that greatness with cheap laughs that are completely immature. By the way, I didn't even mention the insane puerile humor that he put into Last of Us 2 that was not present in the first game. Stupid, sexual jokes and references and just dumb shit that it's just, again, out of character for the franchise. It does feel like someone completely different wrote The Last of Us Part 2 versus The Last of Us 1. And it blows me the fuck away. It does. It blows me away that this apparently is the same guy and this is what he thought was a good advancement of his game franchise. And again, it almost makes me feel like he let it get to his head. He let the positivity and the popularity of Last of Us 1 completely cloud his mind and make him think that he's untouchable and he could do whatever he wants without caring about his audience. And he made a piece of donkey shit. Which sucks because the gameplay of the game I feel is much improved. The graphics, there's so many things about Last of Us Part 2 that seem like it's a crazy big advancement over the first game. But he literally ruined the game with the writing. And that's my opinion. You guys can completely and utterly disagree with me, and that's okay. And please understand something. If you like the game and you like all the things I just called out about the game and you think that they're fine, that's perfectly all right. I'm not trying to insult anyone and say that your opinion's wrong. Sadly, I think that sometimes when I'm playing a game like this, I come across very opinionated to the point where people think, wow, well, if I disagree with Phil, apparently he's feeling that, my feeling, how dare I actually like the songs in the game or these scenes in the game? It sounds like he's making fun of me. That's not my intention at all. I hope you guys understand that. I'm not trying to insult. I'm not trying to bring down what you like. You can like what you like. That's okay. There's always going to be people who like stuff that I don't like, and I'll like stuff that you guys don't like. That's perfectly acceptable. I apologize wholeheartedly to anyone who may feel offended that I'm playing the game and giving this kind of criticism and feeling that maybe I'm striking out at you for liking it. It's okay for you to like stuff I don't like. But personally, for me, it's very, very hurtful to me. Because in 2013, I played a game that I felt was the epitome of what you could do with video games at that time. And now I'm playing a sequel that's not even close. Because the guy decided that his shit didn't stink. And he can completely rewrite his own rules of his own universe that he established. Just because he wants to. And that pisses me off. Because I bought in. I invested. I loved that game. I bought it twice. I bought the original and I bought it on PS4. And I was ready for The Last of Us 2 to be an amazing game. And not to say that there's not parts of the game that aren't great, because there are, but the parts that are terrible are fucking terrible, and it's really making me angry, So hopefully now I have expressed myself a little bit better. You guys understand where I'm coming from, and again, I apologize if I came off badly in the playthrough so far. Fair enough. A few shout outs here. Plum Girl did 150-bit cheers. Says, I agree. Ellie is older and can be different, but it feels like poor writing, not character development. The story's off-putting. It just doesn't feel thought-provoking like the original game. I 100% agree with you. Now, I'm only about halfway through the game. Maybe my jaw will be dropped. I'll be blown away at the second half. I don't know. But that's my take after playing the game for about a week. That's my feeling about it. Cold Zero cheers. Said, why are you ranting? We don't care. Well, then, Cold Zero, don't be here. Leave. If you don't care about what a content creator has to say, then leave. You don't have to be here. You don't have to waste your time watching something you don't care about. Bye. Ocelot cheered and said, all hail the Druckmann World Order. Very nice. And then Cold Zero insulted me. So now Cold Zero can get banned from the chat for the rest of the stream. All right, maybe if Cold Zero stops being a jerk and realizes that it's not all about him, he can come back at a future date. But now he will not be here for the rest of today, and maybe he'll learn his lesson. Ryan cheers and ignore the haters, and I am going to. I handled it and it's over with now. Okay. All right. So here's the deal. My food is supposed to arrive within anywhere from 10 minutes to 40 minutes. I don't know when the food's going to arrive. In fact, I'm just curious if there's any kind of an update. I could check. What we're going to do is have some Q&A, where I'm going to allow you guys to just ask some questions. All right. It actually says it'll be here in about 20 minutes. So there you go. So let's do some Q&A. All right. Let's have you guys toss some questions out here. And let's talk for a little bit until the food arrives. Okay. Let's see what people have to say today. What they want to talk about. Habib Gaming says, I cannot wait for the DSP tries at me either. This is something different that I'm excited for sure. I made breakfast cheers. Said the fact they misled the trailer using Joel's face. Yeah, okay. So there is another controversy in The Last of Us 2. There was a bait and switch trailer. Okay, there was a bait and switch trailer where during a scene, Ellie's in trouble. Someone puts their hand over her face. She turns around, it's Joel, and he says, well, I couldn't let you do this alone, or something like that. That scene happens in the game, but it's actually a completely different character. They lied in the trailer to make you think that Joel was going to be a major part of the game. It's pretty fucked up, in my opinion. It's dishonest. Spartan King tipped me $5, says, don't ever apologize for showing emotion. It means a lot to us longtime supporters, just as those emails do to you, and I truly feel lucky to be part of the community you've built. Also, you have a unique take on games that very few people have. Well, thank you, Spartan King. The thing is, not that showing emotion is bad, but obviously I don't want to get other people who are watching the stream to get emotional too, especially maybe they're looking to, some people will turn into a stream like this and they want all positivity, constant, right? They just want, let's have fun, let's have positivity. And then when I start tearing up, sometimes it can make people be emotions that they weren't planning on having or anything. So Corey M says, do I think the Impossible Burger will taste of salt? I have no clue. I have no idea what this thing will taste like. I'm excited to find out today. Okay? Thank you, Spartan King, for the $5 tip. What are my thoughts on Michael Keaton returning as the Batman? That could be cool. He was, in my opinion, the best film Batman. I'm serious. I think he was the best one. Would I consider a playthrough of Mercenaries 1 or 2? Didn't I play Mercenaries 2? That's what I played. That was one of the original games that I actually played back in the day when I first started on YouTube. One of the videos I made was that Mercenaries 2 was full of bugs, and the video highlighted all the bugs that I came across playing the game. But would I replay them? Maybe, if you guys wanted to see them. Ryan says, DC or Marvel, who's my favorite hero? It was always Marvel, even though I did read some DC and watch some DC stuff, and I actually really like the DC animated series more than anything Marvel ever put out. I always read Marvel comics, and my favorite hero back in the day was Wolverine because he was the anti-hero. Well, Dark Sea to Phil did a 435-bit cheer and said, DSP tries it. Thank you for the cheer. Can I get an invite to Minecraft Season 2? I'm not inviting anyone to my Minecraft World but Papa Vera right now. So, no. Not right now. No plans on that. Cookie Monster says, the game has pacing issues too, which is a big negative, and I agree. The game, Last of Us 2, has entire segments where it's just gameplay for like 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, then a tiny bit of story, then 4, 5, 6, 7 hours of gameplay, and a tiny bit of story. And there's no pacing to it. It's true. Then you'll have a flashback segment that's all story. It's like, why was this not paced well? And it's not. No, Derek, I believe I gave Last of Us 1 Game of the Year in 2013, right? I'm almost positive I did. Milk Knight, man, you're right. He says, thoughts on all the mishaps going on in the wrestling business right now, pro wrestling. First, a sexual misconduct scandal breaks, where so many people in the wrestling business are called out for sexual misconduct over the years. And now, coronavirus outbreak, where multiple people in WWE have tested positive for coronavirus, and it could carry over to other federations like AEW as well. This is not good, you know. They thought that they were doing everything they needed to do with social distancing and everything, and apparently not. So this is really bad. It could mean suspension and or the end of pro wrestling for a while until this whole thing blows over. So I guess we're going to see what happens, but obviously it's terrible. A Reflecting God says, how does it feel knowing your videos may have helped people through their lowest moments? It told you guys, it seriously means the world to me. It does, because to me, I always thought I was just some asshole on the internet putting out funny videos. People maybe enjoyed them or whatever, but it wasn't a big deal. It was just like a guy dicking around. I didn't take any of that seriously. And then over the years to be told what you did had meaning, it put a smile on my face. It made me feel better. It changed the way I thought about games. It did this, it did that. You know, I never intended that, but that's awesome. And then, you know, now to know that I'm a person who has changed over the years and improved based on your feedback. I've become a better content creator, and now you guys tell me on a daily basis what it's like to hang out, that it's a cool, meaningful thing. You know what I mean? That's awesome. And it means a lot. Again, I really feel that I would have probably quit at some point if it weren't for you guys telling me how much it meant. You know, like it's been rough. My life has been torn asunder. My personal life has been exposed to the world in ways that I never ever intended. You know, things almost fell apart at the seams, you know, with the stuff going on. And it was very close to not working out, but I toughed it out, and I'm still here, thank God, but it wasn't easy. And it's cool that there's people out there who got something out of it, that they feel like their lives have been improved or changed because of what things that I said and did. So thank you for that. Tatted Fenrir did 1,000-bit cheer. Thank you for the cheer. Big, very big cheer. Says, I've been a fan since your playthrough of the first Medal of Honor. I agree with you on the story so far. I think Ellie acts more like a child in this game than the first one. I 1,000,000% agree with that statement. Ellie acts more immature and more like a child, and you know what I mean, an angsty teen. And then in the first game, when it would have been the ideal time for her to be acting like that. In fact, the first game proved to us that she's not like that, and now they retconned all that, and that's why the writing of this game is terrible. I'm wobbling my leg. What's up with that? I have restless leg syndrome. I have had it for a very long time. It could be because of my back not feeling right if I'm not moving, or it could just be something else, but I've had it for a long time. Hold on here. Richie7 says, why do I feel game journalists are kissing The Last of Us 2's butt and basically ignoring all of its shortcomings and saying it's like a 10 out of 10? There's two reasons. Number one, because most game journalists, I hate to say it, are 100% liberal, and they always want to see agendas that they support being pushed. Last of Us 2 is a rarity where the main character is a lesbian, where there is, I believe, a possible transgender person who's a main character in the plot, and they feel that just because of that the game is like infallible. I'm sorry, it's not. Is it good that that's in there? Yes, I like that. I like that there is inclusion. I like that there's representation, but that doesn't make a game infallible. It's still just as legit to be criticized as every other game out there. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I've already talked about this, but I'll say it again. I hate to say it, but these advanced review copies is a scam. It's a way to get people to feel more positively about something because you, with unspoken, admittedly, I doubt that Naughty Dog or Sony goes to the games media and says, hey, by the way, if you review Last of Us 2 really highly, you're going to be in with us. You'll get more privileges in the future. Maybe we'll invite you to more exclusive events. Maybe we'll give you advanced copies more. They don't say that, but it's an unspoken understanding. If you're getting a huge AAA game that Sony is going to make tons of money on, if you're getting it early, and you get to play it early, and you get to do an advanced review, which, by the way, cannot even reveal critical things about the game because of embargoes, which is ludicrous. You're supposed to be writing a critical game review, but you can't mention things that are very, very open, should be criticized, okay? Oh, hold on a second. A text from the person bringing me my food. They said the food might be a few minutes late. They're basically saying that the Burger King that I ordered from is super busy. Not surprising. It's lunchtime. And the order may come a few minutes late, but they'll let me know what's going on. All right, cool. Fair enough, okay? But anyway, what I'm basically saying is if you have a whole system that's based on you get a game early, you're able to review it early, can't even reveal your full thoughts about the game because of an embargo, right? That's a corrupt system. What you're doing is you're turning reviews, which are supposed to be legitimate critique with no boundaries, into only being able to talk about certain parts of the game that you feel are positive. And obviously that's going to make reviews illegitimate to begin with, but then it becomes advertisement for the game. A game review should never be advertisement for a game. A game review or a movie review, any review, should be an honest, unbiased take on something. It shouldn't have limitation. It shouldn't have, you know what I mean, constraints. And it certainly should not be only allowed by an elitist group who get it first. That's ludicrous. And I'm sorry, I know that this happens in every industry. It's bullshit. I never agreed with the practice. I never will. When you have people out there, 100, 200, 300, 400 people who got to play The Last of Us 2 3 weeks early, they put out reviews early, they're going to kiss the game's butt because they feel, oh man, I'm in with Naughty Dog. Shit, I want to keep getting those game copies. So I immediately have to overinflate my review, especially when you feel like you're part of early hype for a game. Oh my God, I was chosen to be one of the people to get that game. I've got to really, wow. Even if you don't intend for that to happen, okay, it could still happen. Now, I can't 100% remember, but I think it was Angry Joe, who years ago was flown to Europe for the release of a game. It might have been Witcher 3. I'm not sure what game it was. But he was flown to a European castle or some shit. All paid for trip. And then, of course, that game ends up being his favorite game of the year. It's like, can you really believe that? Or you have to take all of that with a grain of salt, right? And that's what I mean. If we're going to have these situations where an elitist group get a game early, and they're the only ones allowed to even play the game or talk about it, you have to understand that there's going to be bias, innate, installed bias in any content that comes out of that elitist group of people, period. 2 years ago, I strongly criticized game streamers who got an early copy of State of Decay 2 and were outright told by the makers of the game, you cannot criticize the game if you play the game early. You're allowed to stream it and make money on it, but you cannot criticize the game. So people were actually tweeting these game creators on Twitter saying, I don't understand, you played it, but you're not calling anything out in the game and saying what you like or dislike. And the guy responded and said, I'm not allowed to. There's an embargo. Maybe on Friday I can actually tell you my thoughts about the game, but for now I can't say anything about what I like or dislike in the game as I play it live. Then don't play it live. Stop putting out paid advertisements as a shill, which is exactly what that kind of content is. An early review is not legit. The best review is a review that comes out when everyone has the game, everyone has the opportunity to experience it for themselves, and then you can be fair. There's no opportunistic opportunity to get something positive by reviewing a game more positively or less positively in that situation. And that's what I feel. That's why I honestly feel you had so many people who came out and said the game's 10 out of 10. Because there was this mob mentality of kiss the game's butt and we'll all be the golden people that Sony loves in the future. And that's why there was one or two people who did negative reviews of the game who were in that group, who were actually like seen as the poster boys of actual honesty on the internet. And they actually had to come out and be like, well, stop doing that. Don't use me as the poster boy for negativity. Just because I didn't like the game doesn't mean everyone should hate it. I'm just saying this is my honest take. It's weird that everyone else said the opposite and didn't even call out half the shit that I call out in my review. It's true. It's absolutely true. 1,000,000%. That's what I feel is going on with The Last of Us 2. Dark Sea to Feel cheered and said, how do I heal or do I hate Kiwi Farms as a whole? I don't even know anything much about Kiwi Farms outside of what people have said about me on there. The complete and utter slander. I mean, Kiwi Farms is apparently where the whole escort saga actually started to begin with and all that nonsense. And if all I can see is negativity and slander and shit coming out of it, obviously there's no good to come of it. You know, maybe there is good things there, but I don't spend time on it. I only go there when I'm told, Phil, there's something there important that may be really hurtful to you. You need to check out. Then I'll give it a look. But outside of that, I'm not over there. I don't want to be a part of any of that toxic shit. Donald Trump tipped me $1.30, says, it's discrimination, banning people insulting you? What? All right, shut up. Plum Girl cheered and said, through all the ups and downs, I'm sure you considered backup plans to the career. What do you hope to do? Oh, do you hope to do this until retirement? What else would you try if you had to walk away tomorrow? The thing is, the world is incredibly uncertain. It doesn't work like that. I'm serious. Like, I know some people are like, oh, you need to have a backup plan. Or you need to do this, you need to do that. What's funny about all of that is if I had actually done all those things people said I should have done over the years, I probably would be without a job and lost my house and lost everything right now. Because I would have stopped being a streamer. I would have stopped being a YouTuber years ago. I would have went out there and got a brick and mortar job, whether it was an office job, whether it was a retail job, whether it was anything. During the pandemic, I would have lost my job. And I would have been completely fucked over right now. So who would have predicted that? No one, of course. But it's weird how shit works out. And, you know, I had a plan where I was thinking of transitioning out of doing this within a few years. Now I don't even know if that's such a good idea. It seems to me this is where I belong, and this is one of the best things I can do with my time as long as I can do it. And right now, like I said, if the hurdle I have now is these taxes. And if I can get past that hurdle and get it settled in, and now I can start to plan for the future and start to budget, things could get a lot better for me. Now, obviously, you say you can't do this forever. I mean, maybe. I agree with you. You know, my rational mind tells me this won't last forever. At the same time, my rational mind would have got me into a lot of trouble if I had changed and stopped doing all this. You know what I mean? So I don't even know what to do. I don't know what to do in the future. And I don't think we're in a world situation where you can do that. I think everyone is just flying by the seat of their pants and just trying to do best for themselves, and there's no right or wrong to what you want to do with yourself for your future at this point, because all those plans that we used to think were well established, when the coronavirus hit, they all went out the fucking window, right? Will, son of Aragorn, has tipped me $30. The biggest tip of the day. Let's get Will up on the leaderboard here. Thank you, Will. We're now up to $76 in tips out of the $100 tips goal. Thank you very much, everyone. Will says, I just got to the stream. What did I miss? I'd like to say you're doing great with everything. You helped me a lot over the years through your YouTube channel. I'm glad I can finally support you the way that will help. Thank you, Will. You missed a bunch. First of all, you know, I gave kind of an update on scheduling and everything that's coming up. I read a really heartfelt message from a fan that made me tear up a bit because it was such a nice heartfelt message, and people basically were responding to that and letting me know about their own personal experiences with myself and my content over the years. And then I just had a pretty lengthy segment about The Last of Us 2 and how I feel that the writing is poor and why I feel the writing is poor. I tried to elaborate and more rationally on it than me just kind of making fun of it during the playthrough. I tried to expand and let people know that it's okay if they like the writing of the game. That's fine. Understand that I'm not making fun of them, but for me, the game's a disappointment for various reasons, and I explained those reasons. Okay, so that's what we've done so far. Right now, we're currently waiting for my food to arrive from Burger King to do the live DSP Tries It, and I got a text stating that it's going to be delayed because Burger King is apparently super busy. But it's still coming. It's just going to be delayed. Okay? In fact, I'm curious. I can maybe check on right now. Apparently, it's on the way. Let's see. Yeah, in fact, the person's very close. Cool. That's awesome. They're almost here. Okay. A bunch of shout outs here. Tatted Fenrir did a 1,000-bit cheer again. Said Ellie being a lesbian isn't a problem. It's just shit storytelling. Right. The problem is the storytelling, not the character itself. I agree. Zelda Minis cheers says, is it true there's a big problem in the industry with streamers and news outlets putting out positive reviews in order to have access to games and being invited to events? Oh, he says, it is true. I would know because I've never been part of that inclusive community. Ever. As you guys know, I'm not. I feel I stand out from the crowd because not only am I not a part of that community, I don't want to be a part of that community. I don't want my opinions on a stream to be changed or leaned one way or the other in order to get positive benefit for myself. I want to be honest with all of you whenever I play a game. That's why I don't seek to get early copies of games. I don't seek to get free copies of games. I don't want to be involved in PR events for games. I just want to be me and be honest with all of you. I want to buy the game at launch just like you do. So I have money invested in the game just like you do. And that way it makes me feel like a legitimate player rather than someone who's a elitist journalist or an elitist streamer who's treated like a special snowflake and gets special privileges. How can you say that that experience is legit? I don't know how that could be the same as the experience of someone who has to actually wait for the game to come out, buy the game. You know what I mean? It's different. So, there you go. Serpent of Eve cheered. Says, what do you think about Chris Avallone's sexual allegations? I don't know anything about it, nor do I give a fuck. Jerk Store tipped me $1.30 and says, how much are you tipping the delivery guy? I believe I tipped him through the app. And I probably tipped him the default amount. I don't even know what it was, to be honest. I have no clue. Thank you for the dollar tip. Lay's Daibo cheered and says, the heads up that the Impossible Whopper isn't vegan or vegetarian friendly. It's cooked on the same grills as regular burgers. BK was shady about it, only promoting it as meat-free and not vegan, veggie suitable. Fuck BK. Wrong. You are absolutely wrong, Lay's Daibo. Here's the deal with it. Burger King will absolutely cook it on the same grill as the regular burgers, unless you tell them, listen, I'm a vegan or a vegetarian, and I'm personally requesting that you keep it away from other meat, then they will. Every Burger King was actually laid out with a training procedure on how to properly clean the grill and have a section for the Impossible Whopper if needed. Okay? But they didn't really promote it that way. You're right. You may think by default when you're ordering the Impossible Whopper that you're getting the Impossible Whopper with no meat byproduct or anything on it. Unless you specifically request that, you won't get it. So, I understand that could be a problem and you could consider that misrepresentation and say, why are they advertising it like this when it's not? But the truth of the fact of the matter is that this was a controversy when the Impossible Whopper came out, and you can absolutely get it not cooked in the same area as meat on their grill, and you won't have a meat flavor or that meat byproduct flavor on it if you do it that way. Okay? Captain Charisma tipped me $1.30. He says, one streamer I watched got an early copy of the game. He laughed at it and dropped it and said he has no urge to go back to it. Well, at least someone was honest, you know? That has to be honesty right there. Obviously they didn't feel like they were going to get anything out of it if they kissed the game's butt. That's a good thing. Dark Seed of Phil said, why are you unable to handle romance in games? I'm perfectly capable of handling romance in games. I've played a million games that have romance in it. Especially if it's a major part of the plot development of the game, it's perfectly fine. In the case of The Last of Us 2, it's completely uncharacteristic of Ellie, and that's why I don't like it in a game. Other games, you guys seem to like to try to force romance down my throat when it's not part of me or my content that I want to do in a playthrough. And in that case, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't expect that just because a game has the ability to optionally date someone in it, that I'm expected to do it. Especially if I don't feel that it adds to the game and I don't want to do it. But the reason people do it is because they know that I don't like to do it. And oh, see, we're going to get Phil. Make him do something he doesn't like because we want to troll him. So, if that's the case and that's you, fuck you. Alfred Aponte tipped me $4.20 and said, Phil, I hope you're good. I am good, Alfred. Thank you very much. So my food is almost here, guys. My food is actually right around the corner. It'll be here in just a couple minutes. So if you guys have any more questions here you'd like to ask before I prepare, by all means do. Let's answer a couple more questions. Hollywood Joy says he actually agrees. He thinks maybe Last of Us 2 is another Last Jedi. And even the writing for Joel is bad, and I agree there too. I agree there too. Did I ever like playing handheld Pokemon on the 3DS? I did. I think Pokemon is very much a valid game to be played as a mobile game. Excuse me, a handheld game, not a mobile game, handheld game. But it was really refreshing to play it on a console. I really enjoyed doing a full-on playthrough here with you guys on stream. I thought it was something more refreshing. Yes, I am liking Fire Emblem Alfred Aponte. Like I said, it's a unique combination of story and character development paired with gameplay that I really like because it feels like it's the evolution of what I used to play in Final Fantasy Tactics, which is a series that I actually enjoyed in the past. Favorite horror movie or franchise? For movies, you know, the slasher stuff from the 80s is classic, like Friday the 13th and, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't think I necessarily have a favorite overall, you know. I think they're more good for campy humor than anything else. Redacted Code did a 500-bit cheer and asked, what's the hardest part of being a streamer or creator for me? Is it the management of the schedule in the games to ensure it's done on time, or handling people behind the scenes and getting prepared, responding to viewers? I would say the hardest part of being a streamer... All right, there's two things. Number one, adhering to the schedule. And the reason I say that is, when I used to be a YouTuber, I didn't have to adhere to any schedule. As long as I had enough videos for one day to put out on YouTube, I could play the games at 8 in the morning, noon, 2 in the afternoon, 8 at night, or midnight. It didn't matter. As long as I was putting out constant content, people didn't really seem to care. You know what I mean? It was fine. But now, adhering to a schedule, a streaming schedule, is actually very restrictive. There may be days when I want to stream later and I can't. There may be days when I'm just not feeling up to it. I'm feeling kind of beat or whatever, but I'm like, nope, I'm on a schedule. I got to put out content for my viewers, you know. For a while, I was getting burnt out on it, and it wasn't until I became an interactive streamer in 2017 that things kind of turned around and I got more positive to the content I was putting out again. Basically, you know, when I was a full-time YouTuber, I had complete control at all times. And now I feel kind of like I've given a lot of that control over to you guys for the sake of having a streaming schedule. You know what I mean? So that's kind of tough. You know, I would say also, you know, trying to fill time when there's no big new releases, because you can't please all the people all the time. You know, if I'm not playing a big new release that everyone wants to see, I have to balance out stuff. And so I try to do a variety of stuff. Maybe one RPG, fighting games, a platformer or retro game, an action-based game or a shooter. I try to do variety so that way not one person is like, man, it's just the same content over and over. I like it so that maybe everyone has something to watch at all times. Even if you only like one game I'm playing this week, at least there's that one game. You see what I'm saying? That's tough sometimes. Because especially at a time when there's nothing new going on for extended periods of time, or maybe the games that I was planning on playing are kind of flops and no one really likes them, that could be pretty challenging. You know what I'm saying? I would say those are the two challenging. Of course, the biggest challenge, of course, is the trolls who try to ruin my life. You know, they concretely try to fuck with stuff behind the scenes. You know, personal stuff that has nothing to do with my streams or anything, just to hurt me. That's really fucked up that they do that. Okay, but okay. Derek, yes, I would consider playing more SpongeBob games in the future. Spartan King tipped me $2. Has started to get deep. You have to do what makes you happy. Of course, finances matter, but happiness is more important. We only have one life to live, and I can imagine one of the worst feelings is realizing at the end of it that you largely weren't happy. You're right, and I feel I really do. Not just sympathize, but empathize, because I've been there. I've been in jobs where I felt I was not appreciated for what I did. I was misused. I was underpaid. And I was stressed to the limit. And I was only doing it for a paycheck, you know? Not because I liked it or because of anything like I thought I was getting anything out of it. I was only doing it for the paycheck. That's the worst feeling in the world. I don't feel that now. Now, you know, I get meaningful messages. Like that message I read, I get meaningful messages from people, all right, that make me feel amazing on a daily basis. And you know what I mean? Like that means the world to me, that people get stuff, positive stuff out of my content, and that it means something to them, and it makes me feel good. This is the only job I've ever had where I feel like that. I've had many other jobs where maybe I didn't hate the job, but it was kind of like I'm just a cog in a wheel. I'm just a part of a corporation that doesn't care about me. Even management that told me, oh, we like you and we're going to train you and we're going to do this and that. And then they just went back on their promises. This is the only job I've ever had, being my own boss, where I felt like it was worthwhile and like what I did meant something to people. Okay, Dark Seed of Field cheered again. He's like, are you insecure about your marriage? Fuck no. And if you keep asking me ridiculous questions like that, you won't be in my stream chat anymore. If you're so immature in your own head to understand that I don't want to do romance missions in games because I don't get anything out of them, because I have tons of real life romance, that's what I want to focus on in my life, and not fantasy romance in games. If you don't understand that difference and you think it's because I'm insecure in my marriage, you're an idiot. You're the immature one, and you're not going to be able to watch my content anymore. You're a moron. All right, anything else, guys? Because I think the food actually just arrived. Golden Noble says, think I got to name a Pokemon for tonight. Yeah, Golden Nobles, you were the top contributor last week, and you did not think of a name. So tonight, you'll get to name a Pokemon in the game. That's correct. And the top contributor on my Pokemon stream later tonight will get to name a Pokemon as well. Okay? Oof. I don't have a favorite Pokemon. Lucid Dreams tipped $1. He says, don't feel bad about being burnt out. I feel the same way. Sometimes you can be burnt out as a viewer. Sometimes I'll take a break from your content and I'll come back a week later. That's perfectly valid. The same thing happened to me. When I used to watch other content creators, sometimes I get burnt out, take a break, come back, and it would feel refreshing again. When I used to be a Street Fighter, a competitive Street Fighter player, sometimes I get completely burnt out and playing. I would leave for a week or two, come back and feel refreshed and want to play again. So I agree with you. That's a perfectly valid way to feel. D-Man11 did a $5 tip. He says, hello, congrats on the 150 vest goal. Today's my best friend's birthday. Can you give my friend Joey a sincere happy birthday? Thank you. Yes. Shout out to Joey. Happy birthday. Thank you for the tip, D-Man. We're up to $90 in tips. All right? So we're almost at the vest streak. Like I told you guys, when we hit the vest goal, you guys can determine if you want me to switch vests or put on the gunner glasses. Okay? Okay. All right, guys. Here's what I think we're going to do. I think the food has arrived. So I'm going to take a break to basically get set up for the DSP Tries It. I need to go get the food separated, the 2 plates and everything, and get set up here. Let's take a few minutes break. I'll come back after the break with the DSP Tries It, the head-to-head, Impossible Whopper versus Real Whopper, and see what happens with it. Whoa, more shout-outs. BattleDuck9000 resubscribed for 40 months. Thank you, BattleDuck. Good to see you. An anonymous gifter gifted us up to Dark Seed of Feel. And Tatted Fenrir now did a 1500-bit cheer to become the top cheerer and says, I'm doing this because I want the top cheer. You're the reason I got into playthroughs. Wow. Thank you very much to Tatted Fenrir. Let's get you up there on the leaderboard. $1.5K. Thank you very much for the support. Everyone, again, another very supportive stream today. Thank you guys very much for the support so far. Keep in mind, we're not even halfway through it yet, which is really cool. All right. All right, let's take a break. I'll go get the food. Give me a few minutes to get set up here. And when we come back, it's the taste test, guys. All right, thanks. I'll see you in a bit. Thanks a lot.